topic for today is season of adversity comes before season of prosperity. And our text is found in 2 Corinthians 6, 9 to 10. Known, yet regarded as unknown. Dying, and yet we live on. Beaten, yet not killed. Sorrowful, yet always rejoicing. Poor, yet making many rich. Having nothing, and yet possessing everything. It's a little bit difficult to understand because this is a paradox. Now, what is a paradox? The Bible is full of paradoxes. When we say a paradox, it is a statement that is contradictory to itself. And there is certain truth in that. For example, if we are here on earth and we look around and everything is so good and beautiful and we can see all things that we are able to see with our eyes, but when we are in the plane up there, then it is a different view and we see things different from where we are if we are down here on earth. Just like with God, because God is so powerful and He is all-knowing, that He is up there looking at us every day of our lives, then He could see the panoramic view of our life, of everything, and it's so different from His perspective or where He is at than when we look at life as we are here on earth. Now, one of the best paradoxes that we will be discussing is the text today, which is 2 Corinthians 6, 9 to 10. And let me read that to you again. Known, yet regarded as unknown. Dying, and yet we live on. Beaten, and yet not killed. Sorrowful, yet always rejoicing. Poor, yet making many rich. Had nothing, and yet possessing everything. Great paradox in Christian life is adversity precedes prosperity. Or in other words, adversity comes before prosperity. What are adversities and what are prosperities? Adversities may be misfortunes, sufferings, trials, persecutions, or sowing time or planting time. While prosperity could mean success, victories, overcoming, harvesting, or reaping time as opposed to sowing time. So the first point is season of sowing. That is the time of trials. So we have a saying in English, no pain, no gain. Like for example, if you want to build your muscles, you have to go to the gym, but you will have body aches. If you don't do that, your muscles will not grow. Now, I think sowing is a hard job. It's not fun. And today, I will be discussing 3 notable characters in the Bible, in their lives, where they suffered and they experienced troubles, and later on in their Christian life or in their godly life, then restoration happened in their lives. And this is about Job, Joseph, and Paul. The Bible described Job as blameless and upright, one who feared God and turned away from evil. In the Bible, especially in the Old Testament, when you say blameless, it doesn't mean that they are sinless. It doesn't mean that they are a perfect person. It means that they are endeavoring, trying their hard to live according to God's command, and they are repenting when they fall short or when they sin. So this was Job. He was a pious man. But when he was tested by Satan, then there were several lists of trials upon his life, like he lost his children, he lost his wealth, he lost his properties, he lost his friends, he lost his dignities, but he did not lose his faith in God. And the worst thing is, he got boils all over his body. Now, what about Joseph? Joseph was also familiar with trials upon his life. At young age, because he was called as the dreamer, and when he shared to his brothers that one day my brothers will be bowing before me. And so out of envy and jealousy, they sold Joseph to the Midianites. And then the Midianites sold Joseph to Egypt for slavery. And of course, we know the story that he became part of the household of Potiphar, and the wife of Potiphar seduced Joseph to have an intimate relationship with her, but he did not give in, and so he was charged of rape, and he landed in prison. Now, what about Paul? Paul has so many trials in his Christian life. Although he was a Christian persecutor before he was converted to Christianity, Paul became the champion apostle as far as I am concerned. Then his trials were, first of all, he became blind temporarily the moment he encountered Jesus. And then he had this thorn in the flesh, and according to Bible scholars, these are types of sicknesses. And 3 times he asked the Lord to remove the thorn in the flesh, and all the answer of the Lord was no. Let it stay there to keep you humble. And then not only that, 5 times he received 39 lashes. 5 times, not once. Jesus received 39 lashes only once, but Paul received 39 lashes 5 times. And then 3 times he was beaten with rods. Once he was stoned, almost dying. And 3 times he was shipwrecked. In spite of all these troubles that he had, he would say in 2 Corinthians 12:9-10, it says, "That is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weaknesses, in insults, in hardships, in persecutions, in difficulties. For when I am weak, then I am strong." That is another paradox. Probably you may be sick for many years, or you are looking for the desirable job that you have for many years, or you may have financial difficulties, or you have been praying for your loved ones for many years, or you have needs that are not met and been praying for this for many months and years. Don't give up, because the answer to all your needs are already at hand. Just keep holding on. And that leads us to the second point: season of reaping, time of rest. That goes, a champion is one who never fails, but one who never quits. Can I repeat that? A champion is not one who never fails, but one who never quits. In other words, no retreat, no surrender. You may be under trials or problems or troubles in your life for weeks, for months, for years, for many years. But I tell you something, it will never last long. Like this pandemic that we are having, it will not last long. Speaking of the trials, of course, normally, as human beings, we preferred always answered prayers. We always preferred victories in our lives. We do not like trials because it is difficult. But if there is no trial, there is no victory. The Lord is intending to restore us, because if we have gone through some trials, then we become stronger, and it's time for restoration. And what happened to the 3 Bible characters that we mentioned? And Job restores and was blessed twice as much as before. He lost his children, then the Lord gave him 3 daughters and 7 sons. He lost his friends and families, but his brothers and sisters were reunited with him, even given him a piece of silver and gold. Now, he lost his employment, his business, and the Lord doubled it, and he got 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 oxen, 1,000 donkeys, and he lived prosperously after that. What about Joseph? Because God gave him special wisdom while he was in prison to interpret dreams, then there was a time that the Pharaoh or the king of Egypt had a dream and no one could interpret it. And then Joseph was able to interpret it. The king or the Pharaoh was impressed with him, and so he was made a second man in command, like the deputy prime minister. And because of that, the Lord used him to save his family and his countrymen from famine. And what about Paul? Paul's restoration, as like I've told you, I consider him as a champion of the apostles. Then he wrote half of the New Testament. Now, when you are in the season of reaping, don't be complacent, because we are talking about season like winter, summer, spring, and autumn. Then if you are in the period of season of reaping, another season will be coming later on, and that is another season of trouble. And why is the Lord allowing that? So that we will grow as mature Christians. If there are no troubles in our lives, then we will not grow. We will not trust Him all the way, and we will not be praying to Him anymore. To conclude this, in the words of Jefferson Franklin, he said that there are joys in our sorrows. There are some crowns in our crosses. There are some mercies in our miseries. There is love in our losses. There are some appointments in our disappointments. There are compensations in our contradictions. And one famous man of God, Charles Spurgeon, shared that there are no crown bearers in heaven that were not cross bearers here on earth. I'd like each one and encourage each one to always be positive in life. Although there are negative things happening in our lives, let us look at the positive side. Like for example, if you are presented a donut, a negative person will interpret that as a hope, but a positive person will interpret that a delicious donut. So today, I'd like to summarize that before we achieve any season of prosperity in our life, we have to go through the season of adversity or troubles. But keep holding on. Don't you surrender, because prosperity is already at hand. Everything is in the hand of God. May God be with you.